Many people will give up their dreams before they do what they don't want to do. Here's your choice.
You need to find your weakest link and focus on healing that and understanding that and changing that. And that could be the most life-changing thing.
We can look at people all over the world who are into self-sabotage, procrastination, self-destructiveness, holding back, or acting out, and they all have the same problem.
I've seen people in my team change their entire demeanor because of an RTT session that they've done. So it's so powerful. It's almost like magic.
Really honored, Mona, to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm so honored to be here with Marisa. You're like one of the most amazing humans I've ever met in my life. I'm Mona Kattan, co-founder of Huda Beauty and founder of Kayali Fragrances. I've always been into entrepreneurship, but I really feel like my life changed and I was able to reach the next level through the power of RTT and my therapy journey. So I can't wait to dig into that.
So people would look at you and go, well, look at you, beautiful, talented, successful. Why on earth did you need therapy? Because we always look at people who seem to have it all and think, well, they've just got it all and they're lucky and their life is just perfect. But of course, you and I know that beneath the surface, there's so much going on. And RTT is a great therapy because it's super fast. But let me start off, first of all, what made you decide that you wanted to have therapy, and what made you decide that I was the one that was going to help you?
Okay, well, to be honest, I always really wanted to start therapy, but I always had a lot of hesitations. I think I was a bit scared of being vulnerable and like opening up a can of worms and like almost losing my strength, even though now I've realized like doing therapy makes you stronger than ever. But I was going through a tough time in a relationship. And then I did start my therapy journey pretty late in life. Like I was 34 when I first started. I wish I started earlier like that. I don't have any regrets in life except not starting therapy earlier, because I feel like it really is such a great way to improve yourself in every single way. So I started doing a little bit of therapy. It wasn't RTT, but I started with just normal relationship therapy. And I started looking at all of the issues I had in my life, and I tried to find the common denominators. So when I kind of looked at everything, whether it was relationships, career, other personal issues I had, like the main underlying issue I had was confrontation. And I remember finding one of your talks on RTT on YouTube, and I was like, this seems like something so special. It's efficient, and I'm the queen of efficiency. You know, when you are busy and you're trying to build a business, it's really hard to dedicate a lot of time to doing weekly therapy. So what I loved most about RTT is that it's straight to the point and it's effective and efficient. So I did my session with you on expression. And I have to say that was one of the most life-changing sessions in my entire life. And it changed everything from like a career perspective, but also relationship perspective. And I have to say, I tell my husband this all the time because I got married, I think, a year after we did our session. And I tell my husband all the time, if it wasn't for you, I would have definitely not been able to keep my relationship lasting, because that one underlying issue I had in terms of expression was creating conflict all the time. It was like the smallest issues would turn into bigger issues over the smallest thing. And it was so crazy because when we did our session together, you know, like I'll share it. Like I remember like you took me back and like to my memories, and it was over, you know, I planted that seed of belief because I saw my parents arguing and not having healthy communication, which is something that, you know, as a young child, when you see that, you know, any small argument turns into a chaotic fight. You feel like expressing yourself is almost something that could get you into trouble. So just like replanting that seed of belief with you in that one session around expression, again, like I think it, you know, definitely changed my relationships, because now I will confront my husband whenever we get into disagreements. I don't just leave it inside and let it boil up into something huge. But also with my business, like, you know, I did help build, you know, Huda Beauty with my sister, and I was always supporting her from a back end. But I feel like there was a lot of lacking when it came to expressing myself, which is why when we launched my dream brand, which is Kayali, the fragrance brand, I would always kind of run into blockages. But after doing our session on expression, like it was so powerful. Like it was like flipping a switch. And I feel like I was able to start storytelling better and like unblocking so many other areas of my life. So Yeah, I would say that, my session on RTT, my sessions, I've done many sessions, but that one on expression was definitely the most life-changing thing I've ever done for myself.
And I love that because you did one session and it changed your relationship, it changed your business, it changed you. And people always say, but therapy is long and how can it be that simple? But I'm always a great believer that simple is what you need. You go back and have a look, here we are. There's a block. Let's not talk about it for 2 years. Let's just go back and find the block, understand the block, change the block. So and you can do all that in one session. Let's find out what's getting in your own way. It's usually a belief. Let's take a look at that belief. Where did you get it? Why did you get it? How did you get it? Why have you still got it? Let's look at that. And then let's change the belief and put in another belief. And here you are, happily married, head of your own business now. And did you ever think that you would do that you would create your own company and help women all over the world?
I've always been very focused on entrepreneurship and very driven, but I'd have to say before I started working on myself, I was like running so fast, but I kept hitting the wall. And I feel like, with therapy, and especially when you find those issues, because I feel like all of us have things we need to work on, but there's always going to be one or two things that are your weakest link. And I feel like you need to find your weakest link and focus on healing that and understanding that and changing that. And that could be the most life-changing thing. Of course, there's many other things I have to work on. And, I tried some other sessions with you and also some of the people you've trained. But I think that if everybody takes their weakest link and focuses on improving that, they will just kind of level up maybe 1 or 2 times or even 3 times, and it'll take them to that next level. So even though I had, the business before, I was really struggling with my fragrance brand because I feel like I had so many blockages and I felt like I was just always running into conflict with other people because I would always be afraid to share certain feelings, especially when I felt emotional about something, which is always, and fragrances are always about emotions. Like you need to be emotional when you're talking about fragrance. So I think that just focusing on healing that part of myself and understanding that part of myself was definitely a game changer for me. And I don't think I would even probably still have the brand alive today if it wasn't for working on that part of myself. So I think that, for everybody out there, whether you're a business person or you're just hardworking and you want to see results, and you're frustrated, try RTT and try to find out maybe before the RTT session. And this is something we did together. It's like that pre-work, understanding what you need to work on. And that comes from just like, reflection, like what is the problems that you face the most and why did those start? And then it's kind of like figuring out what the root cause is. So, yeah, I think this has been the best decision I've ever made. And I'm so passionate about RTT. Like I've now, ever since we started working together and I've done some sessions with you and started connecting with Ty, I mean, I've gifted sessions to, I think, over 50 people with her. And it has changed everyone's lives. I've seen people in my team change their entire demeanor because of an RTT session that they've done. So it's so powerful. It's so like, it's almost like magic, even though it's not magic, it's healing. But it's just so incredible to see someone grow and like break out of their kind of cage that they have on themselves because of this self-limiting belief or destructive belief.
And I'm so glad you said that because people think, oh, but Marisa, isn't this what you do? But as you say, you've gifted 50 sessions. And of course, I'm not really that available, but I put you on to somebody called Ty. And your friends have done all of that online, friends, colleague, family, and got just as amazing results. Because RTT is not what I do. It's a technique I developed to teach other people to do. And they can be every bit as good as me. Some of them probably better. And I love that you've got great results for others using that. But someone's put a question in here and I'm going to answer it. Of course, now I found it's just disappeared. But what is the core issue? What was the core thing you worked on? So you're talking, of course, about confrontation, but really all of our core issues are about, I'm scared of being rejected. I'm scared of not being enough. And so to make therapy easy, which is my job, I don't want to make therapy complicated. I want to make it so simple that people can turn up and have between 1 to 3 sessions and say, well, I'm done now. And it changed my entire life. But to make it simple, you've always got to get to the point. And the point is that most of us are scared of rejection. And why wouldn't be? Not long ago, rejection would have killed us. If you got cast out from the tribe, banished from the group, you could die. And if you didn't die, you might as well, because you were lonely and isolated. So our great fear is to be rejected. Our great fear is to be not enough, but it shows up in different ways. I'm scared of confrontation. I can't commit in this relationship. I'm too scared to take my business further. I can't speak up in meetings. I can't talk to my kid's teacher because I feel inadequate. And so I love the fact that we're saying, but what was the real issue? You need to know that we all have the same issue. We all have the same fear. I'm scared of being rejected. I'm scared of not being good enough. I'm scared that I'm so different that I can't connect. And I'm scared that I can never have what I want. But the first two, it's like an umbrella. Here's an umbrella. And everything comes underneath that thing. I'm scared of being rejected and I'm scared of not being enough. And if that's our real issue, and I would guess that all the 50 people you sent to die would come up with the same thing. You know, we can look at people all over the world who are into self-sabotage, procrastination, self-destructiveness, holding back or acting out, and they all have the same problem. You might reject me because I'm not enough. And when you cure that at the very source, you cure everything. You don't need to have 100 sessions to work with all the offshoots. Just treat the root. And that's what happened with you. So when people are saying, but you know, what was really going on? What was your real issue? How did it present itself? It's just, let's get to the core. The real issue is, I don't feel good enough and I'm scared of being rejected. And when you remove that, it's like, wow, I can marry this guy and have an amazing relationship. And I can just be, I don't have to be perfect. I'm good enough just the way I am. I can go after my dreams. I can start my business. I can do anything. And so when you looked at that, looked at the real issue, all my bracelets say I'm enough, because it's so important to understand that when we're born as a baby, we are hardwired to find connection and avoid rejection. And we spend our whole life trying to avoid rejection in case it kills us. And we think, oh, but you can't really reject me unless I let you, and I never have to do that. So when you realized that it was all about rejection and not feeling good enough, how did that change you? And how fast did it change you?
I have to say, awareness is everything. So for me, when something makes sense, I feel like I can connect with it easy. So when I was made aware that, me fearing confrontation was because I watched my parents express themselves when they were upset, and it led to big arguments, tension, chaos in my eyes, because I'm a very sensitive person. So even a big argument seemed like an extraordinary argument to me as a child. So I think just when I became aware of that, and like you said, that leads to me feeling like if I argue with someone, maybe they'll never want to talk to me again. Maybe I'll lose a relationship. So I would actually even feel myself having that kind of trauma response when I wanted to confront somebody over the smallest thing, which is also crazy, because if you can't have tough conversations, how can you actually develop yourself, whether it's a relationship that's personal, friendship, business, a big part of developing who you are and your team is having tough conversations. So I think that we all have to master that. But again, you need to have that confidence that you are enough, even if someone doesn't agree with what you say. And even if that means they no longer want to speak to you anymore for whatever reason, that's probably their own issue, but you have to be okay with that. And just having that strength that you are enough, and just as you are, just existing is enough. I think that is the first step. And, just listening to your recordings. So for everybody who hasn't done a session yet, with RTT, do you want to go into the process, or should we? I'm not sure if everybody listening knows about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the process, because I've trained 16,000 therapists, and we always use the 5 I's. So the first thing you do is you investigate, like a good detective will investigate, well, what happened here, and look at that, and what's going on. And so I never say, how are you feeling today? And how does that make you feel? And I never say, what's wrong with you? I say, what happened to you? I don't know. I don't know why I can't stop eating. I have no idea why I scream at my partner. I don't know why I sabotage, but we do know something. You were not born. No baby says, I can't leave food, get me more. No baby says, don't look at me, I've got no teeth. And I seem to have triple thighs down here and a big fat tummy. So, well, we know one thing, you acquired these. And if you acquired it, you can get rid of it. So the first thing is to investigate what happened. It's not long. It's not, you can find that out in 5 minutes. And then when we found out what happened, like, why can't you, Mona, confront people? Why do you have this fear? No baby has that fear. They don't go, don't look at me. And we went straight back to witnessing your parents' relationship. And of course, children have no choice but to learn what they live. If they live in conflict, they want, marriage is terrible. Everyone fights. I don't want that. Or, gosh, look at my dad. He comes home every day with a migraine. He says the job is killing me. I don't want that thing called a job. And you think you've forgotten that. But years later, the mind is like, oh, don't have that thing called a job. Don't have that thing called a relationship. They make you sick. They make you ill. They ruin your life. And when you hear people saying this job is killing me, oh my God, your mom is driving me crazy. I'm so trapped here. I was actually doing a thing with Stephen Bartlett last year, and he was saying the same thing. I thought relationships were prisons because that's what my parents said it was. So the first thing is investigate. And we get some amazing information. And then we go from being an investigator to an interpreter. Let's look at what happened and how it affected you, because it affects everyone differently. Everyone looks at something differently. And then we start to interrupt the belief. Yes, that was the case for your parents. Yes, when you were 4, that would have made perfect sense to any 4-year-old. But here you are today. This is not you anymore, because most of us are so stuck in the past. And then finally, we become a coder, and we code in a completely different belief system. And because the mind learns by repetition, we make that a recording. So it's very much a 3-step process. Let's look at what happened. Let's work out how that affected you. Let's remove all of that, change all of that. Like a dentist, let's extract it all. And now let's give you a brand new recording, personally made to you. It's not generic. It has your name on it. And you play it for about 3 weeks, and it wires in and fires in something so different. And it lasts forever. It doesn't ever wear off. People don't say, oh, it's worn off, because you're getting the same mind that came up with this behavior to change it forever. So that's how it works. And it works. It's so powerful. I think it's the best therapy in the world, because I see people like you every day saying, wow, that one session changed my life. But of course, it doesn't just change your life. It changes the life of the people you work with, work for. If you're a parent, it changes how you are with your children. It changes how you are. And so when you work with one person, you're working with everyone around them, and it's a wonderful thing.
It's so incredible. And like you said, it's the whole community is impacted. And because we're all online nowadays, it's like you're almost impacting the whole world, because like if someone can work on healing themselves and transferring that energy to everybody around them, it's like you're actually making the world a better place, which is why I'm so passionate about supporting you in any way I can and what you're doing. Because if we can help people get more healing, I really feel like it is the key to peace and to reduce suffering and to making people, like, imagine every parent gets therapy. Like, wow. Like, it would just save us from so much chaos in the future. Like, because if we could just stop the healing at the root, it would be so amazing. But I remember we also did a session on insomnia, because I could not sleep and I did not understand why. And it was so crazy, because most of the sessions take you back to childhood. But I remember when we did the session on sleep, I went back to when I first started becoming self-employed. And I used to tell myself every night, and I forgot this completely until we did our session. I would say to myself every night while I was working at like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., and I was like, I wish I didn't have to sleep. I wish I didn't have to sleep. I wish I didn't have to sleep. And like, I completely forgot about that. But that lasted over 10 years. And 10 years later, I couldn't sleep and I had no idea why. But when we did that session, it like the flashback came, and I was like, I now remember saying this to myself repeatedly every single night. And then just doing that session together, like, really changed my sleep. And now I have an Aura ring. I get my crown almost every night almost. And I couldn't believe how that changed that aspect of my life too. So, I mean, I've done many different sessions, and I feel like it's been so transformational, each one in different ways. I mean, we also did the one about like struggling with weight. And it was also so crazy because we went back in like the fact that I was a premature baby. And as a kid, my parents used to encourage gaining weight. and how that can last a whole lifetime of like, you know, just that foundation of people encouraging you when you get chubby, that can last with you forever. And like just figuring that out, having that awareness is so transformational. I think awareness is everything. Of course, the recording and doing the work after having the awareness is also very important. But what I would say is very different with this type of therapy versus others is just like, it's so fast. The transformation is fast, which is why it's RTT. It's rapid. And I love it because as a busy woman, I would love to do therapy every week, but I just don't have that time. And it's a bit draining for me, like doing a therapy session because I am so emotional. It kind of like makes me feel exhausted a bit. So with this, it's like we have that one emotional session, which is very emotional, but then the recording is just like, it's light and it feels amazing. And actually, I love listening to my recording. I still listen to the recordings we did years ago all the time because it just makes me be filled with so much like, I don't know, like energy and light. It's like it lifts the light on like weight off my shoulders and fills me up with light.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes it's you when you were talking about that, I wish I didn't have to sleep. So I met someone just 2 weeks ago who said, I can't remember a thing. I can't even remember giving birth to my children. How bizarre is that? And she went back to being a schoolgirl going, I wish I didn't have to remember everything. I'm so good. I remember all the stress of my sister doesn't care, but I've got this pressure. I've got to remember every lesson, and she said, I wish I could forget it all. And she had a terrible memory because you've got to be very careful what you wish for. It's not a wish. It's a direct command to the mind. I wish I didn't get hurt at school becomes, well, don't go to school. Oh, I wish I wouldn't mess up that appraisal next Wednesday means let's have a migraine next Wednesday, not go to the appraisal. So the mind is a genie and your wish is its command. And we got to be very careful. You say, I'd love attention. I've got a nervous twitch. I'd love not to be rejected. Now, I never date anyone and I never get rejected because I've become isolated. And I remember when you were talking about that simple thing, 2 different clients, one couldn't find love and she was as beautiful as you are. And so how could you not find love? And she went back to this one thing her father would say every day from the time she was born, you'll never, ever find anyone that loves you like me. I love you so much. You'll never find anyone else to love you like me. And guess what? That became true. She never even had second dates. And it was just that one thing. But he told her every day. So it becomes an imprint, a belief. You know, we make our beliefs, but they turn right around and make us. And here she heard every day, you'll never find anyone that loves me like you. Nobody could love me like you. It isn't possible. And that's exactly what she never found, a man to love her, because the first man that loved her told her she never would. Then I worked with another girl who said, you know, this is so weird. I got really fat legs, but the rest of me is slim. And whatever I do, I cannot lose weight on my legs. And she went back to seeing where her father would grab her. You know, her babies have triple knees. And I love that. And go, oh, I love your chubby legs. I love your triple knees. I love your fat thighs. I love your chubbiness. And then he left. And he never saw her again. He didn't visit. By the time she was 2, he'd gone, didn't pay child support. And she had a belief. That's the only thing he loved about me. And if I keep these fat legs, he might come back. And other people might love them too. And it was so bizarre that her body was perfect, but she had really fat legs. And she said it was so weird after that session, they changed shape all on their own. I don't know what you did, but I didn't do anything. I did one thing. I understood the entire body is controlled by a network of intelligence, which is influenced by the mind. And in RTT, you go into that network of intelligence. You have a look, go, look at that. Well, that's amazing. Look at that. That's fascinating. And then you fix unfinished business. You put everything back together again. And her legs completely joined the rest of her body in being long and lean. And she said, my husband is just like, wow, what's happened to your legs? It's just so bizarre. But it was just belief. We have a strange beliefs. You know, I've got to be perfect. I've got to be good. I've got to be sick. Many people have that belief. I didn't get attention. But when I got asthma, I got so much attention. And for the rest of my life, I've learned something. It's that network again. We make a belief, but the belief starts to make us. And so finding that belief, it can be simple or profound, but it's so amazing how it changes everything.
It's so funny you say that about, wanting to be perfect and everything, because after doing a few sessions with you, I almost started being able to do the sessions on myself. Like, even though I didn't go I wasn't able to do the whole hypnosis part very well, but I was able to investigate myself on my own. So I also used to have an issue with like being too perfect sometimes, because as a child, I was in beauty pageants and my mom was always like, typical Middle Eastern parent wants you to be so polite, so poised all the time. But it was to a point where I couldn't even feel like an individual. I was almost like a pageant princess. So then after like understanding that for myself, I started like doing my own like incantations of like, express yourself, be bold, like be courageous, like, say how you feel at all times. And I started doing that for myself and practicing like, just saying how I feel at all times without filtering myself too much. And I just feel like it was also just such a big impact. I feel like I was more likable. I feel like I was more myself, more authentic, and I think that's a miraculous thing that comes out of this RTT. It's just like, not only will this session help you with whatever you do it on, but you almost learn how to reverse engineer your own mind and find the problems a bit faster on your own too, versus never doing it. I'm sure it's still better to do the sessions, but it kind of teaches you how to find those self-limiting beliefs. And I've done it on quite a few areas with myself. I always like to reflect because I feel like it's the only way you can find out like where you can improve. But it's definitely been a game changer. And I really want to say like a lot of the success I've seen with my personal brand, Kayali, has really come from expression. And it's crazy. We are the fastest growing brand with our retailer, Sephora. We've grown 100% year on year. And they're like, what's going on? You're on fire. And I'm like, it's my therapy journey. Like, I can't explain it. It's just like when you take these blockages out of your life and you are able to just really work on those weaknesses, it can be a huge game changer. I definitely, I do want to give credit where it's due. And I say it all the time, like not just in front of you. Like if I didn't do therapy, I don't think I'd be here with my brand or even in my personal relationships either.
And people don't really understand that therapy isn't just about how you feel. It can make you a rock star in your business, or it can make you write that book, create that business, create that coaching program, open your store. Because when you have talent without belief, it's not going to take you very far. Actually, if you have belief but no talent, it can take you a long way. We see that with reality TV. But when you have both talent and belief, you become unstoppable. And I've worked with many people who say, this is actually 10x my business. I've written that book. Actually, one of the reasons I wrote my book is because I was hypnotizing people to write books, and they were all getting book deals. And I thought, wow, why am I just sitting and hypnotizing people to write books? I had a few journalists that I know there's a book in me, but I can't write. So they go, wow. I had one session, I've written that book. I got a great book. And I thought, well, I should write a book then. So I wrote one book and thought, well, that's it now. But then I wrote 7 more. And now I love writing books. It's the ability, as you say, to just do it. And I love the fact you talked about trying to be perfect. I think, okay, if I'm perfect, I'll be happy. But there is no perfect. There's no finishing line that says perfect that you can ever get to, because as you run to that finishing line, it moves and it moves and it moves again. And people who try to be perfect are actually the unhappiest people in the world, and also the loneliest, because we don't even like perfect. We like flawed people. We go, oh, I can't be with you. You're perfect. You make me feel inadequate. I hate going out with people who are perfect. Never, ever eat a piece of cake. Never do anything wrong. Imagine being a perfect person with perfect kids and a perfect home, how intimidating that is. But you can't be perfect. If you're trying to be perfect, stop right now. There is no finishing line called perfect. You need to be flawed. The happiest people in the world are flawed people, having flawed relationships with flawed people. I call it being flawsome. And it's weird. My house is a bit of a mess today because I'm packing. Oh, my kid just had a meltdown. That's what they do. I just had a bit of a thing with my partner because we're both stressed. But, we're flawed people, having flawed relationships with flawed people. It's wonderful to be flawsome. It is a curse to even attempt to be perfect, because even if you got there, it's like when I say, well, my house is perfect, but it's not going to stay that way for very long. It's better not to even try. But, I loved something else that you said, which is RTT is not just therapy, it's an education. Now, I've written the 26 rules of your mind, the 3 things wrong with everyone, the 3 ways your mind works, and the 4 ways we all act in order to belong. And I love the fact that so many schools are picking up my program and going, wow, we've been teaching this to children. We've been teaching the I'm enough to children. And what's happening in the school is bullying has disappeared. They all seem to have much higher self-esteem, and academically they're doing better because emotionally they're doing better. And one of the reasons we're moving to Dubai is because the school system there, they all want this RTT program. They're all saying, hurry up, can we have it? When can we have it? I mean, we don't even charge for it. It's something we do because, of course, every therapist would want to put themselves out of business. My goal is put myself out of business, get into schools so people don't need therapy, don't go something, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not interesting enough. There's so many ways we think we're not enough. But getting into schools and nipping that in the bud has always been my passion. And I'm so excited that it's happening.
I love that. That's so amazing. And so much respect and gratitude to you for doing that, because I just feel like everybody with therapy will be a kinder, more loving person, more understanding person. And that the way that it affects the whole world is just, it's miraculous. I do want to say, like, another thing that I noticed with doing RTT, once you believe that you are enough, you're able to be less perfect, which means you're able to be more vulnerable, which means you have better relationships with everybody. Like, I feel like after doing our sessions, I was able to just tell people, like, all the things that I was never comfortable sharing before. Like, I used to have kind of like a big, not a guard, but I would not be comfortable sharing with people that I didn't have it all together, because I always felt like I had the need to seem like I had everything like in line. But once I started being more vulnerable, like the amount of friendships I had, and even with my team, like we became closer because I'd be like, I don't know what to do today. Like, I have no idea, like, help me solve this. And it's just like, from a leadership perspective, from a friendship perspective, like when you have that confidence to be yourself and to say, I am enough, even if that means I have nothing like in order, it's okay. It's like that magic of being vulnerable makes other people be more vulnerable, and your connections become so deep. And you actually end up solving things together, which is also amazing. So I think it really helps you cool your ego, which I think everybody needs, no matter what. We can all work on that. So yeah, I definitely feel like just reinforcing that to all of us, that we are enough on our own. It will make you not only a better human, but a better leader. And yeah, I couldn't express enough how much I think everybody should work on that aspect of themselves, because yeah, we all need to cool our ego. I feel like the ego is the enemy. And once you learn to like not do things out of your ego, you do it for the right intentions, which is a big game changer too.
Yeah, and people have this belief, if I'm perfect, everybody will like you. But actually, the basis of all friendships is we choose people who share our vulnerabilities. So when you can show them at work, people think, oh, I like you more. Oh, my God, Mona, I just like you so much more because you showed me. We've seen that occasionally with famous actors and actresses who say, actually, this is all going wrong. I was a nervous wreck. We go, oh, I just like you so much more now. So it's such a shame that we're taught be perfect and it will all work. It's no, share your vulnerability. When you're perfect, you're alone. And so I just must quickly answer this question. Someone said, why are you giving that to Dubai and not the UK? The schools problem, we give it to people all over the world. We already have 2,000 schools that use it in Spain and America and the UK. It's just they particularly requested it for all the schools. And no one said, we've had a lot of different schools. So we thought, well, let's give it to everybody. But anybody who wants that, anyone on here who's involved with children's schools, education, even working with scouts, let us know. We will give you that program. It's our passion to give it to everyone for free because we want to get the next generation. So I wanted to ask you a question, and I think the audience would love to know this because people see you as famous and inspirational. What does that feel like? That can be sometimes a bit of a challenge to have people think that your life is amazing. But what is it like for you to have that label of famous and inspirational?
I mean, it feels a bit funny when you say it, because like I don't really consider myself famous. I do have a following on social media, and yeah, I've done some reality shows, but like for me, I've always looked at it as community. Like maybe because I kind of built myself off of social media, and it's a little bit different than being like a movie star or like a singer. But it's almost like growing an extension of who you are and your family almost. So like we have a big community for sure. But I don't really view myself as famous. And in terms of influential, that I would love to say that I'm trying to be influential, because I feel like, I'm trying to influence good, whether it's like showing people that through hard work and dreaming big and being a good person and dedication, you can build your dreams. But also as a woman, like I'm very passionate about women in leadership and just paving the way for the future so that women can feel empowered to be their own boss, be a leader, take up space in whatever industry they want to be a part of. So from that perspective, I definitely aspire to be influential. And I think it's a never ending journey. It's not an obligation, but like it's something that I take with a lot of pride and responsibility. And I hope that I always do the right thing. And I think it really is inspired by my own mentors and role models that I've had in my life. You being one of them when it comes to healing, like you're on my vision board. I'm like, I hope I can help people the way Marisa has, one day. I hope so. And I know we do that somehow through the power of beauty. Beauty, it doesn't exactly heal, but it makes people feel better. And like feeling good is a part of self-love and everything. But, I have different people that I look up to who've inspired me to be inspiring. So you're definitely one of them.
And I love that we're both changing, women and people, of course, but women, I'm changing them on the inside, you on the outside. But even people who have cancer will say, the day someone came in and put some eyelashes on me after the chemo, or the day someone put a bit of makeup on me, I actually felt better. It's like, when I've ever had a cold and the day you get out of bed, wash your hair, but you think, oh my God, I feel so much better now. So we mustn't diminish that anything that makes you feel good is worth doing. If it makes you feel good, we should encourage that and we should help that. But I wanted to tell you something, because you said Kayali means imagination.
Yeah.
And the word imagine means I'm a genie. That's what it actually means.
Does it? I didn't even know that.
You break down imagine, it says I'm a genie. And I always say, this is the genie. Be very careful what you wish for. I wish to not be dumped. I wish to not be hurt. I wish to not be rejected, says, oh. So I was actually teaching a school system in Estonia, and I literally got Aladdin's lamp, and I had the kids run up and say, Genie, Genie, I want to make a wish. And they would go, hey, Genie, Genie, I don't want to fail at school today. And, hey, Genie, Genie, I don't want to be bullied. Hey, Genie, Genie, I don't want to not know what to say in class. Did you see the Genie has now got to make that wish come true? And the Genie's like, oh, you don't want to fail at school? Well, get a tummy ache. Don't go to school. You don't want to be bullied? Stay at home. So you got to ask the Genie a better question. Hey, Genie, I want to ace my exams. Hey, Genie, I want to have so many friends. Hey, Genie, I just want to be happy and everyone likes me. And at 9, they got it. Oh, I better make a different wish so that the Genie can make it work. But imagine means I'm a genie. Wow. And the word cure comes from the word curious. So, when you understand words, when you get curious, you get cured. When someone says, okay, Mona, here are you, and you got everything, but let's look at this fear of confrontation. Let's be curious. Let's not say, oh, let's keep learning how to speak in public. Let's go back and get really curious. Where did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? And in the curiosity, you immediately find the cure. And so when someone says, when I'm stressed, I eat loads of cakes. And they go back with a curious thing to my mother used to always say, you've been good, here's a cake, or you're a little stressed, here's a cookie. And it's all learned behavior. But whatever we learn, we can unlearn. And I love that. But you know what I really love about you so much? You really emote gratitude, and you do something else as well, because every business that is successful can tell an emotive story. And we've trained probably over 16,000 therapists. We say, look, this is one thing to be a therapist. Here's another. You're a business owner. How can you sell? And you sell by telling an emotive story. That's what L'Oreal did with I'm Worth It. And when you can tell an emotive story, you'll be really successful. And I think you don't even realize how you automatically do that. And that's why you're so authentic. authentic and endearing and inspiring all at the same time. It's a great package.
Oh, thank you so much, Marisa. Coming from you, that means the world. But honestly, it's it's a never ending journey, right? Like whether you start a business today or you're working in a company, you're working super hard, you're trying to excel in your career, or as a mom, as a wife, as anybody, in society, whatever you are doing, we can always do better and we can always improve. And it's not about obsessing with an end goal. Like we're not trying to tick boxes. We're just trying to feel our best. And I always share with everyone, like even therapy itself, there's no end. It's like working out, in the gym. If you don't work out until you're healthy and then stop, you have to continue. You have to continue growing yourself and finding areas that you want to improve on, or areas that you have weaknesses, and just find them and keep going. But I feel like, my therapy journey has been my favorite journey I've ever gone on. And it's addictive. I'm going to be honest with everybody who's on this call today. It's probably the most addictive journey I've ever been on, because it is so life-changing. And it's almost like it gives you hope. When I used to, my previous relationships before therapy, I just almost stopped believing that I'd ever have a successful relationship. And I almost gave up on even trying, because I was like, I kind of victimized myself, if I'm honest. I didn't take any responsibility for why they went wrong. So I was always blaming my luck, the situation. You can't have it all. Like I was telling myself all these things. But after, working on those areas of weakness that I had, I took ownership of the mistakes I made, took some responsibility. And then I was so empowered. I was like, I'm excited to actually date, because now I know that I've done things that were wrong. And it was actually my mistakes too. And I looked at things from a very different perspective, a different lens. And I can't even tell you the world of the difference that my experience in relationships was after therapy. I mean, it was only one, and we got married. So, it worked out pretty well. Yeah.
You only need one. And that. And what you're saying, and what's so good for the audience to hear, is that we have blocking thoughts. We have limiting beliefs and blocking thoughts, and they get right in our way. We could look amazing, have everything. But if you have blocking thoughts and limiting beliefs, they block you and limit you. And when you can go back and say, okay, let me find these limiting beliefs and let me just let them go. Your beliefs are yours to change. Your thoughts are yours to upgrade. A belief is nothing more than a thought you think a lot. And so anyone on this call can say, okay, let me take a look at my blocking thoughts. Let me take a look right now. Do I have limiting beliefs? And then ask yourself a question. Who told me that? Where did I get that from? Is that even true? And if it was true for someone else, does it have to be true for me? My dad said men don't like successful women. Well, that's no longer true. You'll never be successful working for yourself. We know now the opposite is true. So we can all, every day, just take a look. Oh, why did I say that? I just said I'm chronically tired. Is that even true? I'm dehydrated. I do need a bit more sleep, but that's not chronic. So we've got to look at the words we use and the words in front of words. I'm a hot mess. I'm a train wreck. I'm falling apart. None of this is true. Look at your limiting beliefs. Look at your blocking thoughts. I can't accept praise. I can't let people do nice things to me. Why is that? And even if you're not sure, it's still a limiting belief. Just change it. You make your beliefs, but then your beliefs turn right around and make you. And then you have something called confirmation bias, which means I'm looking for proof of what I believe. There's no nice men in the world once you're 40. You've got more chance of being abducted by a Martian than getting married when you're 50. Well, that's utter nonsense. I got married at 50 and blissfully, happily married. I didn't even have to do a lot of work. I just had to look at these beliefs I had, which were the same as your beliefs. I'm a head teacher's daughter. I'm not good enough. I got to work because my father, being a head teacher, as lovely as he was so invested in other people's children. I had to really work for his attention. I had to earn it, chase it, prove it. And then I grew up thinking, oh, you got to work for love. You got to earn love, chase love, buy love. And that's all nonsense. All you got to do is go, hey, I'm lovable and I'm worthy of love. And I can not only let you love me, I can love you back. And when I just gave up that belief, love has got to be earned, worked for, and just thought, no, it's just there for everybody. I was married within 10 months. It was amazing. And I'm blissfully happy. But we can all go back and look at limiting beliefs, look at blocking thoughts, and then change them, flip it. What's the opposite of your belief? If I look at a cake, I get fat, becomes, I got a phenomenal metabolic rate. I'm always sick in flu season. I have a phenomenal immune system. I'm no good with confrontation. I'm very interesting. People like me. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it, because when you're saying my legs are the size of a house, that's not true either. I could eat a horse. I'm exhausted. I'm shattered. These are all lies. But if you're going to tell yourself a lie, at least tell yourself a better one. I got great energy. I got a great metabolic rate. I'm magnetically lovable. Because you know what, whatever you tell the genie, it's going to make it true anyway. And if your mind's job is to make your thoughts real, what do you think your job is? It's to think better thoughts all the time. And of course, you start with a session and then you realize, oh, I also have a job here. Give my mind better instructions, like those children rubbing the lamp and saying, don't say, I don't want to fail my exam. Say, I'm so good at math. Don't say, I don't want to be ignored at school again. Say, I make friends everywhere I go, magnetically friendly. And that's immense power because, you know, we forget that we're powerful beyond belief. You know, the girl who managed to make her legs so big, that was actually genius. I mean, that wasn't stupidity. It's like, look at your power. You could change your body, a part of your body, just with a thought. And we know that because people or hypochondriacs create real illnesses. Most people turning up at the doctor, at least 70% of them, they have real illnesses, but they're not caused by diseased organs. They're caused by diseased thoughts, which are very easy to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually forgot to tell you something. You inspired me. Our sessions inspired me. In 2021, it was New Year's Day, 2021. I actually made a recording for myself. With like all the things that I wanted. It wasn't like around one topic, but it was like almost a manifestation recording. And I listened to it like quite frequently. Like I tried to listen to it almost every morning. And I did it on the voice recorder. So you could even slow it down if you wanted to and play like nice music in the background. I made that recording and about 1 year, 1.5 years, like almost everything came to life. It was pretty insane. And I asked for outrageous things in that recording. Like I said them as if they were real. And it was very inspired by the recordings we did in RTT. But I forgot to share that with you. I wanted to make a YouTube video on it because it was just life-changing. But it goes back to those, those beliefs that you're saying, like just say them as if they're real. Like take whatever, negative belief that you're saying to yourself, say what you actually want. And do it repeatedly, and like the world and your mind, your genie works in mysterious ways. But yeah, I forgot to share that. It was really, really incredible. Like I said something in my recording. I was like, Kayali is going to be the fastest growing brand of 2021. And like literally when I had a meeting with Sephora, they told me, I was like in tears. I was like, I can't believe it. It's just like, it was so hard to believe when I said it. But then a year later, when it was actually coming together, it was just phenomenal.
Let's help the audience out right now. If you would like to be a master manifester, a magnificent manifester, you got to do just 3 things. And Mona's just told you what she did. She said it, stated it, affirmed it. She didn't say, I hope, or, oh, if only, or I wish, or wouldn't that be great? She said, Kayali will be the fastest growing perfume brand in the world. She stated it. So there's 3 things to do to manifest. The first is easy, but it's very important. You must sit down and go, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. I deserve this perfume brand to be the best in the world. I deserve my book to be the best. I deserve to find the love of my life. So the 80% of your success is down to I'm worth it. And when you start saying it, I'm going to write a best-selling book, you might think, oh, I feel really silly. Well, that's a sign you've got to say it a lot more until you don't. If somebody says, I feel angry, when I say I'm enough, I feel really angry because it's not true. That's a sign to keep saying it until it is, because the mind learns by repetition. The first step to manifesting is you must take some time saying, I'm worth it, I deserve this. And you might think, well, I don't. That's okay. Keep saying it because the mind is going to make it real. The second step is, imagine taking a look at your product being the most successful product in the world. I could say, hey, when I decided I want to write a book, I realized as I looked at it, oh, no, I don't want to write a book. I actually want to write a best-selling book, and even more, a best-selling book that changes people's lives. When you take a long, hard look at what you want, I want this thing, this person, then you realize that whatever you require will require something of you. So now you got to do some research, Today, if you want to write a book, you better learn to be a speaker, because you'll never get a deal if you can't talk about your work. And then when you've done step 2, which is take a long, hard look at what you want, now do step 3, which is go out and get it. But it's hard to do step 3. I've got to take my work to someone. I've got to show somebody my product. If you haven't done step 1, which is I'm worth it, it's like a loop. I'm worth it. I'm taking a long, hard look at what I really, really require, and I'm seeing what it requires of me. And then I'm doing it because I've done step 1. I did that with my daughter, who's an artist. Darling, you've got to take your paintings to galleries. I can't do that. I said, but you'll never be successful. So if you want to be a painter, that's one thing. You want to be a successful painter, just suck it up and go to galleries. But first do that. I'm worth it. And the first gallery she went, oh my God, we love your work. Have you got more? She said, Mummy, I never would have done that if you hadn't told me. You got to feel nervous and do it anyway, believing, hey, my work deserves to be in the, and it wasn't, they put it in the window. And I took lots of pictures because she saw I'm worth having my work in a gallery. What I got to do is walk around with these paintings, or at least put them on my iPad. And that's a bit scary, but I've done the step 1, so I can do it. So that's how you manifest. Decide you're worth it. Imagine you've got X-ray glasses and you can see what you really, really, really require, desire, or want. But there's always a third. What am I going to do? I want love. Well, get off the couch. Go out. I want a bit work. Well, go and look for it. It's not going to come to you. It's not going to go unless you want to date the guy that's delivering your Amazon packages. You got to get off the couch. Go, well, they might reject me, but they might not, and they can't reject you. So you did this organically because you already had the belief that you're worth it. In our session, we worked on you're worth it. You're worth it. You deserve everything. You're amazing. And then you created your perfume brand and you started to write out the most successful. What I wrote, I'm writing the best-selling book in the whole world. I'm the most respected, recognized therapist in the world. People might say, well, did that come true? It did, actually. It really did, because you say it, you state it, you affirm it, you embody it, and then everyone picks up your energy and it starts to happen. And so
I love that. And I do want to say to everyone, just when I said that, my brand was failing. It was doing terrible. So I just want to clarify, it was not doing good. It was before I really got into my therapy journey. So it's crazy, doing the therapy, doing these manifestations, doing everything. You have to kind of do it all together and be patient, because nothing happens overnight.
Yeah. And you've got to have faith as well. Patience.
Absolutely.
Even when it's not, it's happening. Even when someone says, no, it's not, you keep going, you got to have that mark of faith. Of course, you'll have hiccups and delays. And, I remember when Taylor Swift was getting that award and Kanye West came on and said something to her, and she thought the audience were booing her. They were actually booing him. And she said, I felt so terrible, but I just smiled and I carried on. And then later someone said, no, they weren't booing you. You're amazing. But people right at the top still have moments of doubt. But there's 2 things that can happen when you have moments of doubt. You have a choice, give up or keep going. And that's what defines success. You keep going. You don't give up. It's many people will give up their dreams before they do what they don't want to do. And people who succeed do what they know. They go, okay, I'm going to make that call. Go to that thing, show somebody my work. I'm going to do that. I was watching the Netflix documentary on David Beckham, and they showed you when he was absolutely hated. They were hanging effigies of him in the street. He was booed, and he had a choice. Shall I retire? I've got enough money. Or should I just keep going anyway?
Yeah.
And he kept going, and everybody forgot. And then he became loved again. So I just play even better football. I'll score even more goals. So my team at least will like me. My fans at least will like me. And then the whole country will like me again. So when you have a brilliant brain, here's your choice every day. Talk yourself into it or talk yourself out of it. And that's what we do. That's it. I'm talking myself into it or out of it. And if you're not talking yourself into it, you must be talking yourself out of it. And if you're not choosing to change, you must be choosing to stay the same. And here's a little magic phrase that changed my entire life, and it can change yours too. I am choosing to do this, and I'm choosing to feel great about it. And that can be, I'm choosing to take sugar out of my coffee. I'm choosing to feel great. I'm choosing to spend all weekend on my business. I'm choosing to look at these figures and make them successful. That word says to your brain, oh, you have a choice. You could run away, go and have a drink, give up, but you're choosing to make it work. And so many little phrases like I'm enough are so simple, but they actually change your entire life. Their strength is in their simplicity, but also their honesty. I'm choosing to do this and I'm choosing to love it.
I remember when I first discovered your YouTube channel, you had a meditation. It kind of puts you to bed. So I used to listen to it every day before I go to sleep, and I'd fall asleep to it. And it was just like a whole self-love guidance and meditation. I was actually going through a breakup when I found that, and I just used to listen to it every single day. And I have to say, like, I think by like 2 weeks in, I just felt so good about myself. And it's just, I think just hammering in that message that you are enough just by being who you are. It's just such a simple but very valuable message that I think everybody needs to remind themselves of daily. And I loved what you said, like you're either choosing to become, to grow or to stay the same, or even I feel like we're always in motion. Like there's no such thing as like standing still. It's like either you're moving forward or backward. There's no like being just in one place. So just being conscious of that to make sure that you are telling yourself everything that's going to serve what you want to do in life. Again, sounds very simple, but we're all doing it subconsciously every day. And you want to try and make the right choices.
You can have people say, nobody can have it all. You can have it all. Not only that, you can have it all the time too. I have a wonderful marriage, a beautiful relationship with my daughter, an amazing business, an amazing life. It's a little bit of balancing, but not much. And you can even have great health in the middle of all of that. But if you believe no one can have it all, somebody's got to give. If you have a great business, your marriage suffers, or vice versa. You're making a belief, and the genie up here is going to make that true. So make better beliefs, because it just might change your entire life. And it does.
I used to say that to myself when I had not so great relationships. I was like, can't have it all. And I'd say it all the time. And I would always end up like in the worst relationships. But you're right. Just have to find those beliefs, stop saying it, and replant these new seeds of beautiful sayings that you guys have created. I mean, I love, if you guys haven't seen Marisa's YouTube, of course, like you probably have, but it is like life-changing. I mean, I've downloaded a lot of your videos, so I could just like replay it all the time on like YouTube Premium. But it's been such a big life changer.
Yeah. And, if you're saying I can't have it all, no one can have it all, just flip it. Whatever you're saying that's negative, change it. There's some people out there who'll disprove what you believe. So think, well, they've got it all. I can absolutely have it all. And I can have it all the time, because you can have it all. Someone's just put the rules of the mind in here for you. If you want to understand what makes you tick, go and look at the rules of the mind. It really helps you reframe your thinking, because here's one of the rules of the mind. Everything starts with a thought. First, there's a thought, then there's a feeling, then there's an action. And then you justify it with a thought. I'm not enough, so I feel inadequate, so I don't take any risks because I'm not enough. I am enough. I feel amazing. And I go out and get stuff because I'm enough. So it's just a question of this loop. There's a great song called It Started With a Kiss. It doesn't ever start with a kiss. It starts with a thought. I want to kiss you. I want you to kiss me. Everything starts with a thought. It doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with a thought. It doesn't start with a feeling. Everything starts with a thought, and your thoughts are yours to change and upgrade. And we're also busy upgrading our phones and our software. Upgrade this software. It will change your life. It's easy. It's free. It works. Why wouldn't you do that?